Welcome to the Shirl and Shirley Show. Today, I have John Righeimer, who happens to be a chairman of Sawyer County Republican Party, and he knows I'm very active down here in Wood County. And we're just going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the Republican Party and what's happening and some of the stuff going on around the state. We're both in different districts. He's in District 7. I'm in District 3. We have our caucus coming up here in April, and we have our pre-caucus this weekend. I'm looking forward to that. Um, so welcome, John. I appreciate you coming on and just to talk, because him and I just talk honesty. We don't really care if our name's tied to it or not.
That is true, and it looks like I'm in the witness protection program here
Yeah.
with the shade, but I don't got my new light set up here in my studio. So
Well, that's okay. I like it. I don't really have a studio neither. And honestly, I tape it, I record it, basically with just you and I talking on video. So we know when we talk or whatever, don't talk over each other, something like that. And it doesn't work half the time anyway, because, we just talk.
right,
But I don't really put out the video yet. I can, but I haven't done it yet. I'm going to try it soon. I want to go live one of these times, just do a live one and just shoot for the moon. I could have
heck
done
yeah,
it probably with Brittany Kinzer when I did hers. She was very good, very quick, and back and forth. We could have probably done a live one, but I always worry about, putting something in there that maybe they don't want out. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
because you're not trying to get a gotcha.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to help people. And honestly, I think she's the better candidate out of the two. And yeah, we're getting a lot of slam on that too. I'm hearing that from many, these people that consider themselves to be hardcore Republican conservatives. And it shocks me to a degree, because I don't really think they are. I don't think they're conservative Republicans at all. I think they're angry people that came into this well after what we've been in it. I've been in it a very long time. I've witnessed lots of things happening. And what I'm seeing right now is disgusting and frustrating, and it makes me angry, and not with RPW. RPW has done the best they can. They're doing
Yeah.
everything they can do. It's a grassroots organization. It's who we are.
Well,
And
I think on that point, Cheryl, I think that group, they're I'll say they're populist in nature, so anger feeds.
Mhm.
And the Trump movement, I mean, Trump's a populist. The whole Trump movement's populist, and I'm not going to talk. I'm not talking bad about Trump. It is what it
Sure.
is.
Right.
And Trump is not a traditional Republican by any means. He's probably not really that conservative. He is a populist at heart, and or that's what he's selling anyways. And that's kind of the element we're talking about here. It's took over the eighth district.
Hmm.
They're not really Republicans at the end of the day, and that's the challenge. And they've used the Republican vessel as their vessel, and some of this is on us. I mean, we've kind of co-opted it, and
Yeah.
in exchange for votes and winning some elections, and but in the process, we've thrown everything under the bus. Let's not forget. It just pains me when I see Governor Walker speak at events that, and I'm not anti-Walker with this comment, but back in the Rebecca Clayfish gubernatorial race, they hated Walker. So
Yeah. I
we've
know.
kind of anything before Trump in their eyes is garbage, and
Yeah.
I don't think that's good long term.
Well, it's not, because the Trump effect is going to be gone after this election. Then what? I mean,
Right. What
people.
comes next? Right.
Right. What comes next is exactly correct, because are all these people that have been Trump, 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 Trump ever since the beginning, are they going to drop off and we're never going to see them again? Or they're going to get so frustrated because they think somebody else is going to step in there and be Trump? And I just don't see that. I don't even see J.D. Vance stepping in
Yeah.
there to be Trump. I have nothing. I think J.D. Vance is articulate. I think he's very
Yep.
smart. I think he does a good job, and he's very good at putting the media where they belong. But he's not Donald Trump, and I don't think there will be another Donald Trump in my age, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
before I go, I just don't see it, and I don't see it in anyone coming up young. I don't see it. I see some people that are dynamic. I like Byron Donalds from Florida. I like him. I think he's very dynamic. I think he's very good, but he's certainly not a Trump. And I just don't see what they think is going to take the place of Donald Trump. Now, obviously, we have a few more years. And here's the thing. I'm not against Trump. He's the president. I voted for him. I voted for him
Right.
3 times, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
It's
Same
like,
here.
what what else do you want? Does that prove that I'm I guess a Republican? Yes. Does it prove that I'm a rhino. I'm not really sure because I don't know what they classify as a rhino anymore. Anyone who
Well,
doesn't agree with them is a rhino. That's it.
yeah, pretty much, and I think that's maybe a good tangent on this subject to go on. Is my concern. I was talking to somebody just this morning or yesterday, because what went on in the eighth is kind of a combination. It's kind of a coalition of, you know, uh, I guess we'll call them patriots. I guess there's that element. The
Hmm.
only Trumpers, and I get called a never Trumper, although I voted for him 3 times, but uh, the only Trumpers, which I guess are the same thing as the Patriots, but Turning Point USA, I think, is involved in this too. And I'm not
Yes.
sure if there's a true alignment between those two factions or if it's just they have one common goal that is aligned for the time being, and that goal being destroy RPW and then take it over. So they
Yeah.
can destroy it together, I guess. But when they take it over, I'm not sure if they're aligned at that point or not. I guess, I don't know, and hopefully never get to that point. But somebody was asking me, why is that a problem? I said, well, if indeed Turning Point is getting more and more seats on the executive committee. They're supposedly a 501c4. I say supposedly because I think a 501c4 is supposed to do 50% education. I'm not sure if they're doing 50% education, so there may be some issues there. But um, they're getting more and more traction and the executive committee. And if indeed they become the ones, see, they think that I say we, I'm not even part of that group, but they think like RPW dictates who the candidates are.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if RPW dictated any candidate last time for governor, it was Tim Michaels, and even then, that wasn't RPW. That was a side faction, which you and I have talked about ad nauseum. We won't
Hmm.
go into that. But if Turning Point USA and let's say the Patriots together, if they're one and the same, become the ones that will dictate who our statewide candidates are, the danger is they will force those candidates to go so far right. I'm not even sure if that's the right term. So far populist, so far right that it's going to be hard for them to back up the truck when the general comes. And I think that exposes us to lose races to Democrats.
It
Um,
does.
if we truly ran this like a grassroots organization, which I think we do, other than the debacle of the endorsement at the gubernatorial race a few years ago, RPW it is what it is. It's a grassroots organization. Everything bubbles
Hmm.
up from the county to the district to the state. And in that case, you make an endorsement or you don't, and you move on. And then the population gets to vote anyway. So it's just, there's
Hmm.
just influence from the RPW. But um, my concern, I try to be the subject I know we're talking about. I want to be constructive about it, and it's hard because, and I may slip into calling them names, and I may get down in the dirt with them like they do. But I do want to also try to be constructive. Like, well, let's identify the problem. Why is that a problem? And then what do we do about it? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's one of my concerns is that they will, and I will not mention names, but I see candidates that I know very well who are doing what
I,
they can to please that contingency,
yeah.
and they're kind of
Aligning with it.
changing.
Yeah.
They're changing as a person, and I
Hmm.
know why. I think I know why they're doing it. They're doing it because they think that helps them in a primary, and maybe it does. I I think I understand why they're doing it, but I don't have to like it. If that makes
Right.
sense.
Well, I think my concern truly is with the whole turning point. And number one, we've always had all these groups out there. There's always been groups out there.
Right.
There's, AFP, and they're working their tail end off. Same as, an RPW has finally started like getting people that work on doors. I mean, I did doors for the Trump Force 47 last fall. You know that. And I worked
Mhm.
very hard. And there were some groups that worked very hard, and we did infiltrate. And actually, I think it's a good thing. We got very close, like at UW Stevens Point. I worked with a lot of those college Republicans. The college Republicans are doing a great job too. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
whole group of people that are out there. It's not just Turning Point, but Turning Point seems to be someone who wants to take the big hoo hoo, hoorah, we
Well,
won.
they're
And
gonna they like to take the credit, and I predict now if Schimmel wins, they will say they're the reason.
absolutely, they're already saying it. I mean, they're already
If
saying it. I'm
Schimmel
seeing it
loses,
everywhere.
Schimmel loses, it'll be it was rigged. That's always part of it. And then the second part of that will be it's Robin Voss,
Yeah.
it's the rhinos, it's the establishment that didn't come through.
Yeah.
And I think case in point of, them taking credit is the rally they just had for Schimmel a day or
Yes.
so ago in Waukesha. That was
Yeah.
Turning Point banners all over the place. It was put on by Turning Point. My question is, who brought Turning Point in, and why can't that be a Republican sponsored thing? Why can't the chair, whoever the chair is, I know who it is, but we won't mention his name
Right.
because I don't know him. But why wouldn't the chair of Waukesha County GOP, who is also the RNC committeeman for Wisconsin, couldn't he maybe not get Charlie Kirk in, but couldn't he get Don Jr. in? Why is it that that was and that's just an example of,
I know. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
that's an example of the conflict, I think, because you've got people that probably were involved in getting that thing set up that are either employed by Turning Point USA or heavily influenced by Turning Point USA,
Um,
who are also sitting in leadership positions within the Republican Party of Wisconsin.
yeah, I'm sure. I,
So it's kind of weird.
yeah, honestly, it's very confusing to a lot of us out here. Um, I was pretty, I guess I would say, supportive when there was young people coming, and they were in Turning Point. They were
Yeah,
Turning Point people, and I knew that, and I've known them for a long time. I actually did a podcast with a couple of them, and they're pretty, decent kids. And I was trying to bridge the gap of the older and younger because it seems
yeah,
like they are coming in and they just want to take over. It's it. That's it, flat out. They just want to take
yeah,
over, and they think that they know better than anyone else. And they're early 20s. I mean, really, no offense to any of them. I mean, I I'm looking forward to the young people because I
yeah,
don't wanna knock on 9,000 doors anymore. I'm
yeah,
done. I don't mind doing it for certain candidates. I don't mind working my tail end off. I don't mind helping in all kinds of ways. I've been very active in the party for many, many, many years in many different areas, in many different, positions, and also in actually different parts of the state. So I've done my fair share, and I've worked very hard. And I think what bothered me was the fact that they don't realize that I'm friends with a lot of college Republicans and a lot of people that even work maybe for Turning Point that like me, which is, a shock because I'm an old lady. And
yeah,
it's interesting because I am very fair. I'm fair-minded. I try to keep an open mind about everything and I try to talk to them and I try to actually get them to understand where other people are coming from. Now I'm pretty much done because
yeah,
I saw true colors. They were, like, actually sending out they have a group chat that they send out. I think there's, like, I don't know, maybe 100 people in their group chat, and it goes to all kinds of people all over the whole state. All of a sudden, I see somebody sending me screenshots of their group chat, and they're talking about me. Yeah, you laugh. It's like, "What the hell?" And I was so stunned because the person that it was somebody who I was just on the phone with, maybe
yeah,
2 hours before this happened, and I was being very honest. I was like, "Hey, listen, you're messing up. Stop it.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
stop it." And then the next thing you know, there's texts going out about me and, "Oh, she's this, she's that," and then I'm getting, somebody sick cutting them up and sending them to me, and I was like, "Oh, so let me call this person out again," you know? So I did, and the person was, like, apologetic, you should see the text. I saved it. Sent me a long text
yeah,
apologizing to me for being that's really not how I am. I shouldn't have done that. Which you did it, you know?
yeah,
You can't you did. You did it. So I didn't do it. I didn't call anybody or send anybody a text and say something terrible about you. I
yeah,
didn't do anything. I just thought it was over with and we move on. That's what an adult does.
yeah,
But a young person doesn't know how to take that. So that did a little bit to me. Then when I started seeing what Orlando Owens had posted, which you and I had kind of
yeah,
commented on, and I got a couple of attacks there, and I thought, wait a minute. I mean, I should be able to say what I want to say. I'm not saying anything inappropriate. I stay pretty professional about it. I don't attack or anything.
yeah,
And I was like, wait a minute, okay, so you're talking about okay, you raised a lot of money. Well, that's just flipping great. And you gave counties money. Amazing.
yeah,
Um, certain counties, of course.
yeah,
And so where does the allegiance lie? And that's where my question was, okay, so you want to be on executive committees. Why? Why do you want to be on the state
yeah.
committee? I've been involved for 20 years. I don't want to be on the state committee. I have,
That's a great point. It's a great, like, breaking it
yes,
down to the simple, like, what is it that certain of these folks are after? Is it just is it a generational gap and they have to lead it or they're gone? what is the end in mind of, I mean, if you're involved in a grassroots organization, I would think there's enough to keep you busy in your county just doing volunteer stuff, not looking to take over the whole
Right.
party.
But
And what's behind that? Who's behind it?
some of these people are already on executive committees. They're on their own in their own counties. They're
Well,
the
yeah,
the
they're county
chair or
chairs,
vice
vice
chair.
chairs, or
Yeah.
what have you.
So
Um,
why aren't you doing your job, which is RPW grassroots? Why aren't you doing that? And if you're
Yeah,
doing it for Turning
or
Point,
doing what I thought Turning Point was supposed to do, which was be active on college campuses.
yes.
um, I think I don't know. There's just so many things to it. A couple of those individuals I've heard are getting paid very, very well. Then I think
Mhm.
there's a big drop off with the rest. But so those ones that are getting paid very well, it's their job to, I guess, take over the party. That's what they're getting paid to do, I guess, by Turning Point. For the other ones, they're just having fun, and it's like a new clique for them, and it's all young people having pizza parties, whatever they're doing. And I don't know, some of them are getting paid, and then some of the county parties are getting paid, but it's all, I think, done towards, again, what's the end in mind? Why is it so important that they are
On
in
the state
charge versus just
executive,
doing your
right.
job?
Mhm.
Do your job.
Right. Right. And my question was, and I thought it was a valid question, if you wanna sit on the state executive committee, then do what other people that sit on the because it's a volunteer position. You don't get paid. You're not
Right.
gonna get paid.
And usually it's just
So
the hard workers that get it, right? The
yeah.
ones that work really hard, and nobody's
Well,
really
and
coveting for it. Nobody's really like campaigning for it. Nobody is like, desperately trying to get on there to achieve some sort of crazy mission, which I guess is what they're after, right? That's not them.
well, that's kind of what I think. I'm not really sure what their ulterior what the motive is. I don't know what they really are looking for. I'm not sure. I know that to me it seems like they're very set on a mission, and I
Yeah.
just don't know what the mission is, and I don't know why they just don't say it. I mean, actually, I
Well,
have
it
seen a
has been
video
said.
where one of them has said it.
Yeah,
Yes,
one
I
of them
know.
did say it,
Yeah.
right. One of them did say it, and I think,
Yeah.
getting back to like the eighth with the Patriots and the Turning Point, there's kind of a crossover with them. And I
Mhm.
said it earlier. I think they are clear. If they were to say the truth, I think it's clear in their actions that they want to destroy. They first have to destroy RPW,
Mhm. Yeah.
and then they fill in that slot, and then they come in. Now, the third question would be, well, then once you have the power, what are you doing with it? I don't know if maybe they haven't thought that far ahead, or
Well, I
what
can
that's
tell
all
you
about.
this, if that ends up happening, I'm gone. I'm not gonna I just
But
don't
that's
have the
what
desire.
Yeah, that's why I normally wouldn't even pontificate much on what went on the eighth. But now that there is what I think a dysfunctional leaders, I think the vice chair too. So you got two people going to the RPW executive committee, which now does affect me to a certain
Right.
extent.
Me
To a
too.
certain
Right.
extent,
Yes.
and that's a concern. And uh, like you said, I mean, if I think too, what they seem to think that everything is Trump, right? It's got to be all Trump. We got to clean out anybody that is not like massively dark MAGA on the Trump train, but that which would certainly mean a guy like John Righeimer. My guy was DeSantis. My guy lost. I
Right.
voted for Trump. Okay.
Right. Me too.
I'm not a big Trump fan, but it's a binary choice, and he represented the Republican ticket, so obviously that's what I'm going to vote for. Sadly, that's not how some of those patriots would behave. So they do have leverage over our legislators that are running because they know we can bank on Cheryl and John.
Right.
They can't bank on them if they're if they're
Yeah.
if they're doing
Well,
doing the
it
right thing.
proved it with Hovde. Hovde lost. I mean,
Right.
they didn't take the win on that, did they? They didn't go around saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't help so much with Hovde."
Right.
I mean, and part of it is too, John, you and I are in such weird areas. We're in different areas. You're
Yeah.
way up, we're spread out. I'm in central Wisconsin, you're in northern Wisconsin. I've
Yeah.
made this so clear, and you've probably seen that maybe on X, on my account on X. And of course, everyone out there, I never hide my name. It's under Cheryl LeBar.
Right.
It's like
Right.
I post whatever. And I posted about that, like they're bringing in Scott Pressler now. I thought he was
Yeah.
coming in here totally different. Well, it looks like it's Turning Point, and he did do
Yeah.
something with the college Republicans last night. But the whole week is all Green Bay and all down south, and it's
Yeah.
great. I mean, Milwaukee County never wins. Dane County never wins. If it wasn't for us up north and up further, central and up, we would not win a statewide race. And
Right.
and I get it that they're trying to increase their percentage of losing, but you still lost. That's my point. And I you know what I mean? It's kinda like you still lost, and so I wish that they would say, "Hey, this is what we're trying to do." And in order I mean, like, if they take over RPW, does that mean that they're gonna win Milwaukee and Dane County? No,
No,
they're not.
no,
So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And then seeing this person in the 8th district that has a record. I
yeah.
mean, he has a terrible record against him, and that blows my mind. There should be something that states that you cannot run for office if you have, like, domestic abuse, things like that. You cannot be I I cannot respect somebody like that. I'm sorry. You
Yeah,
have domestic
I'm with you there, and I've said,
done.
I think it's I believe in forgiveness.
Me too.
I think, I don't know that gentleman, so I don't know what's in his heart or not, but I'll just assume if even if it's good things, yeah, you may be forgiven in the eyes of God, but these past behaviors just that's just part of the price you pay for the
It
past
tells you
behaviors.
it
It
tells you
doesn't
about
make you
character.
qualified to run as a leader in really any organization. You would think that the people, so I don't know if the voters or the delegates, I
Knew that.
suspect they know about that to a certain degree,
Mm, maybe.
because I saw a lot of excuses made for that when it was floating around social media.
Mhm.
And I was just pointing when I was posting stuff on it, I was just taking the facts. I wasn't, it's just boom, boom, boom. And, oh, you don't know the whole story. You don't know this. You don't know that. Well, it's a conviction. So, I mean, there's something that's not right there. So I think I'm assuming they knew about it. I think so. That's why it's even scarier. I don't think they cared. And, if you
That's
listen to that, Kurt Johnson, when he was talking on the Meg Ellison show, he went on about some quotes from Ken Sikora and some other like uh, Sikora, I think he's Wakano. There's Brown County and there's Wapaka, which are like the three-headed monster there.
yeah.
They, in so many words, I'm paraphrasing what Kurt Johnson said was a quote from them. We don't care about the rules. Now, I
Wow.
don't know beyond that why they don't care about the rules, but I think it's because they think they're on a mission. They're on a mission from God. They're on a mission from Trump. And if they have to break rules to rout out the rhinos, then by
Mhm.
golly, they're doing the work of God. And they're just going to go ahead and do that. So they're in a mode of whatever it takes to win.
I see. Well,
And you have like, the people, I hate saying our side, their side, but I guess that's what
yeah.
it is. You have, that's not what people come to grassroots organizations for. If you're
No, I
normal,
don't.
quote unquote normal, you're going to see that and you're going, I'm not here to get
Mhm.
in verbal disputes and possibly
No,
physical disputes. That's not what we're here for.
no.
This Republican Party is whacked. We're out of here.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know,
here to, do exactly what I've done all along, find, the best candidate we possibly can find, Republican candidate, conservative, that will move forward, a good candidate, and support that candidate and elect them. And then once they're elected, do my very best to keep them elected if they want to stay in office. That's what my
yeah,
job is as a
yeah,
volunteer, grassroots volunteer for the Republican Party of Wisconsin, three-tier position, down to the district and then back down to my county. And that's
yep,
where I start on my county, grassroots. And I work hard in this. And I'm just so disgusted with some of the stuff that's been going on. And then when I see people from RPW that have worked really hard and they're frustrated and they're tired and they just don't understand what's happening and they can't come out and say anything because, of course, you know, that's what they do, and it's sorta like, "Well, you've gotta be professional." Well, I'm professional too. I'm professional to a certain degree, and when it comes down to the, part where I have to have my say, I'm gonna have my say, and I think it's only fair. I've earned that, at least,
correct,
and that's no matter what. I mean, obviously, the 8th district Ken Sikora thing is totally different than what the Turning Point thing is, but I think the Turning Point, they supported him, and they went out and
yeah,
did all kinds of
yeah. Because
stuff to get him
he'll be
elected.
a vote for them. He'll be a vote for them on the executive
Absolutely,
committee.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
I think I don't, other than maybe that Socorus County getting money from Turning Point. I don't know if they did or didn't, but I had heard that on average, so if there's was there 68 county GOPs in the state? I know there's 72 counties, but like
Right, a
Akron
couple of
doesn't
them are
have a
not. Yeah, there's a couple that aren't active.
GOP. So let's say like 60, so out of 68 counties, I thought I saw, I can't remember where, that an average of 5,000 was given to each county party from Turning Point. Now Sawyer didn't get any. Not that I would, that's probably because they either know me and don't like me, or Sawyer is just too small and irrelevant, or a combination of both. So my point by saying that is not every county got many counties got zero. So I'm not sure where. So
There's
some
a
of these
lot of
counties are getting,
counties. A lot of
yes, a lot of
counties
counties
got
were getting
0.
10, $15,000, maybe twenty
Yeah.
thousand dollars. And I don't
I
know if
s
there was any explicit,
yeah,
demand for that or just insinuate it. But again, I think what they have in common is they want the way RPW is structured now, they want it they want it overhauled. That's what
yeah.
they have in common. And here's off subject but on subject. What that conglomerate? I think Turning Point understands the difference, but like they keep tying in like these legislator races, primaries with RPW meddling in it when it was RAC money. RAC is different from RPW, but I'm not sure that they all understand that.
I don't know if they do or not. I really don't. You would think that they should by now if they've been involved for a while. And if you've been a chairman in a county, you certainly should understand that. And if you've been a vice chair, you should understand that. But I do think that it is an issue, and I think that we have to come to terms with what is going to happen next. I know at the state convention, there's probably going to be some kind of I don't know, a discussion for sure. Um, I think a lot of us are very frustrated. I've talked to so many people that are, they don't say anything. They don't want to say, they don't want to come out and say anything like you and I are. They're just a little bit nervous about it, and I understand that because,
Well,
you
that's
know,
completely understandable.
yep,
I
you get
mean, some of the stuff
attacked.
I've seen
Mhm.
that side say on
Mhm.
social. Now, granted, it's social media, but
Yeah.
it gets you like keep eyes in the back of your head. I mean, I don't know how stable some of this is.
Right,
I mean,
that's the other ththing, yeah, that's the part that kinda is scary when you come out and say stuff, because it can be like that, and I don't talk to him on social media. I'm not on Facebook at all. I don't really like Facebook. I creep under poor Ed. He has to deal with that. But but I won't have a Facebook page ever again. That was way back when. And I'm on X now, and that was only because of RPW, and
yeah.
I kind of watch things on there. But it's just frustrating to me to see what's happening to an organization that I've been involved in for a very long time, and to see how people are having a hard time. And I think that there should be something where we should just be able to talk, sit down and talk and find out what's the motive? What is it here? What do you want? What is this, like, negotiate? I mean, it's kinda weird. I was talking to, a couple of chairmen, and they were saying, "Well, maybe we should just, open it up for discussion and just talk about it with them." Well, I'm not even sure that they'll be honest because, like I said, I was honest, and then next thing you know, I'm getting, screenshots of texts that people sent out that said things about me.
Well,
So,
my response to that would be we should not negotiate with terrorists.
I agree. I
That's my
totally
response.
That's my response too. And, when somebody says, "We demand you do this. We
Yeah.
demand you take it down. We demand you change this. We demand." That made me a little bit like, okay, it's the trophy kids, They all got a trophy, and if I don't get my way, I'm gonna kick the sand, I'm gonna go home. And that's what I think this is. We're dealing with this generation that's so used to getting their way, and they just put things out there. They'll put something out on social media that sometimes I look at and I go, "Oh my gosh, did you read this before you posted it?" It
Well, yeah, and I think too that that group conglomerate of people who think this way. Again, it's all Trump, and I'm just not convinced that Trump, not Trump himself. He obviously won Wisconsin, so there he has a winning formula with that. But like you said, it didn't translate to Hubby,
No, it didn't at all.
right? And I'm not sure
And we lost
going
some
harder on
state
Trump.
we lost
And it
some
didn't work.
state
It didn't work for
senate.
Michael. It didn't work for
No,
Michaels. And Trump
no,
came here. Trump
didn't.
came here and did a rally for Michaels.
Mhm.
He hasn't done that for Schimmel yet.
No,
So
he hasn't. I
I mean,
know.
I'm not
And
sure statewide it really is that you want to put all your eggs in that basket. And but that's
yeah,
what that group wants. That group would probably say that we're not MAGA enough, and that's
I
why
don't
we're like Hubby wasn't MAGA enough. I guess would be their thought. But here's something anecdotal on that, and that's why I bring it up because I think it's a I'm not anti-Trump, but this shows you the concern I have. So I was up here in Sawyer County, and I had to drop off a Schimmel sign for somebody that requested it, and he said, "Hey, drop it off at this bar. I'm always there." And I said, "Okay." So it was kind of a a not a 4x8, but the 4 by whatever the small one.
Yeah, the 2 by
Uh,
4, yeah.
yeah, 2 by 4, sorry. And I had about 10 yard signs in the car. And suppose they had the Trump flags on the bar, and all this other stuff.
Sure.
And I had met this gentleman on a couple occasions, but I guess he didn't recognize me. Okay, that's fine. I thought he would, but that's fine. I said what I'm there for, and he like was hesitant to take the sign for the guy that I was supposed to drop it off for. But then he was going to take it, and I said, "Hey, while I got you, I got 10 Schimmel signs in the car. Would you want them to hand them out to customers and stuff and spread the word?" I don't want those signs. Why do I want those signs? So I walked away thinking, now only anecdotal, but there is a hardcore Trump voter
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
who either doesn't know the Schimmel race is going on or doesn't care,
Mhm.
and I'm the problem, right? The rhinos are the problem. I'm just trying to get signs out, right? And obviously he doesn't have to take them, but I think to me that was an anecdotal thing in that
Mhm.
that's why I think it's dangerous to go all Trump down the road because I'm not sure that's a winning formula again because Donald Trump Sr. is a unique phenomena, which I think
Absolutely.
will be hard to replicate. Um, and certainly, I don't know what would come across of that ilk that would even be original, right? So, I think
Mhm.
it's a tough act to follow. And again, back to the danger of I
Right.
think we're
Well,
letting the party slide.
right. When you think about it, Donald Trump has been branding himself for 40 years or more.
Right.
I mean, and so everybody, I mean, he hasn't changed in his
No.
thoughts or what he believes in or anything. And the interesting thing is that he's really not a conservative, a true conservative Republican. He's not. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I have to deal with that. He's the president. I respect that. And like I said, I voted for the guy 3 times. I mean, I'm not, and I went out and stumped for him big time
Yeah.
and worked very
Yeah.
hard, and on some of those hot days, I thought to myself, "What am I doing this for?" I'm crazy, but I believed in it, and I really wanted to see a change, and I think this Doge is worth it. I think that's
Mhm.
fantastic. I'm happy to
Mhm.
see that. The whole Elon Musk thing, I think he's a very smart guy. I think they can really make some change if these, judges will let them do their job. That's part of it too. These judges that legislate from the bench, which, by the way, let's give a good plug for Brad Schimmel because I don't think he'll legislate from the bench. The interesting thing is, John, that I actually looked up, and I wonder how many people do this. What this job description for the Wisconsin Supreme
Yeah.
Court justice is. And
Yeah.
it has nothing, not one damn thing to do with any of these ads that they've had out there. Nothing. And it blows my mind that people don't know that. And I think that Brad Schimmel has done a good job running the campaign, but I also think that you could put Mickey Mouse up against Brad Schimmel, and they're going to still go out and vote for him.
You know,
You know,
this is a different topic for a different day and a different show, but I think down the road, if we ever, as a legislature conglomerate and a Republican side, have a way, I think it's worth considering looking at other states on how they elect their state Supreme Courts. I know
yeah.
Indiana doesn't do it by popular vote. And I think what they do is I think the governor submits, you know, recommendations, but then that has to be approved by a selected board. And I don't know
Hmm.
how that board gets selected, but I mean, we don't elect the U.S. Supreme Court.
No, we don't.
And
What's
I think
interesting is,
I prove my point though, and people say, well, geez, you're taking it out of we the people. And well,
right?
yeah, because we've
It's
turned this
become
into
so. It
a political
is.
thing, and we
It
want
is
them to
not.
legislate from the bench, and that's not what it is.
It's right,
And I
and it is
think,
not nonpartisan anymore. There's no such thing as a nonpartisan race anymore. It just isn't. And
well, I'll
what's
just say this:
interesting?
when I heard the Indiana way, I should go research it again because I do a lot of
Yeah,
business in Indiana.
yeah,
Um, I know if I bring this to legislators, we don't have the power to do it, so I get it. But they would, it's like, it'd be like I'm asking them to move God, move
yeah,
heaven and earth to do this.
yeah.
But I'm like, when I heard the Indiana way, and there may be other states that do it even better or differently,
True.
versus the Wisconsin way, I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
ours is horrible.
Yeah, it is. Well, and I was gonna say, listening to, Riley Gaines yesterday, it was very interesting how she mentioned Montana, which is basically it used to be a really blue state, and it's turned to a red state, but the thing is their Supreme Court, they can't get anything passed. They can't even get the boys out of girls' locker room passed because their Supreme Court is totally liberal.
Yeah.
Uh, and they've fought this for years. The legislature is not. The legislature is very red. The governor's red, and everything else is red. But then you've got to deal with this Supreme Court. So you can pass the laws, you can bring it up, and then they just take you to court and they just don't do it. And so that's what we're finding is these partisan judges. What happened to the law, enforcing the law? I've always thought about this, like sheriffs when they have to declare. I don't think a sheriff should have to declare. I think a sheriff, I mean, you're going to take care of Democrats and Republicans and independents and whatever else there are out there. It doesn't matter what you are. If you're the sheriff, you're going to take care of whatever person you have to. Why do you have to declare yourself as a Republican or a Democrat? That's fascinating to me. But they do. DA is the same thing because the law is the law. It shouldn't matter. But I
Right.
find it very interesting. And that was really, it opened my eyes a little bit and kind of made me think like what you're talking about is there's got to be a way that there can be nonpartisan again, I don't know when that's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen in the near future, mainly because we do have Donald Trump and there's such Trump derangement syndrome. They are treating him differently this time than what they did before, which is good. I mean, I see some media that's okay. I did see him get smacked in the face by an NPR microphone the other day. That was kinda funny. He just kinda gave a quick look. It was an accident, of course, but, you know, I see, um, I see a little difference in him. I see him being a little calmer, a little more reserved, which I appreciate. I'm sure he has to be very frustrated. There was a mandate. I mean, definitely he won the majority. He won the 7 swing states, which was really a shock. I was very happy about that. So, and it was kinda nice to have Wisconsin be the one to bring him over. So, I'm still like a Republican, and I am a Republican Party of Wisconsin person, but I just want us to figure out what the issues are and stop all this craziness. And Turning Point, same thing. You kids, if you're out there and you do listen, I'm going to send the link to a couple of you. I want you to understand we don't dislike you. We don't want you to go away. I mean, there's AFP, there's MacGyver, there's Badger, there's Wisconsin Institute, there's Wisconsin conservative groups, there's all kinds of groups. There's Wisconsin Family Action, pro life. Well, we could go on and on and on that. They're all out there doing stuff. They're all out there mailing out mailers. I must have had 20 of them mailed to me so far, which is ridiculous. I've already voted too. So I want you to start thinking about how you should go about dealing with this. And you are another group. Turning Point is a group, just like AFP, just
Hey,
like
Carol, let me ask you this question. And I have guesses, but I really don't have, I have sarcastic guesses too. So, like AFP, they're usually a 501c4 has like one issue. Like, and the NRA is Second Amendment.
mm,
AFP is I would
taxpayers.
describe it as
Ta-
like less government, lower taxes.
Yep, that's it.
Um, the pro life groups obviously is abortion or anti-abortion. What
Mhm.
is Turning Point's issue? What is their one issue? Did they ever say
I
what it is, or do you know what it is?
Wow, that's a really good question,
Is that a
John.
good question?
It really is a good question. I don't know. I The only thing I could tell you would be, to, I guess, ballot chase now? They weren't even that before. They started doing that, I
Yeah,
think,
no, it's
with the
college
Trump
ballot
election.
cases are a big one.
Yeah,
I mean, we've heard them that one clip out there of the one guy that heads up. He's in Wisconsin, out of
yeah,
Milwaukee.
yeah.
I guess is it to take over the Republican Party? I mean,
Well,
I
it
don't
could
follow.
be.
They
But,
took over Arizona. Then they really messed that up. I don't know if Arizona is recovering from that or not. I have heard that they have started to recover. But I mean,
well,
then it leads to that question: if it's to take over the party, then it gets back to what you said before. Well, two things: for what? Take it over to do what? And what are you going to do with it?
if they took over Arizona, they didn't do a very good job because there's a Democrat governor, a Democrat attorney general, a Democrat senator,
Yeah,
and actually the other one was a senator too. We at least have one Republican senator, and that was due to grassroots work on from RPW people, from us out there working our tail end off for Ron Johnson.
and
Um,
taking over the Republican Party, is that a valid point for a 501c4? I mean, it's all just bizarre stuff. I mean,
it is.
and
It's bizarre,
I'm not an expert on it, on 501c4s and all that. Although my wife is, she's an attorney, but
right?
I don't know. Here's just questions that come to people
It's a
like
good
me that sit around
question.
and think about this stuff.
It's truly a good question. It's one that I think we should ask is what really is the motive here and what do you bring to the table? What is it? Is it just that you're 20-year-olds and you have a lot more energy than we do? Is that what it is?
But
Because
even with that, Cheryl, I think that that's I don't know what I think through it. Again, at the core of, I mean, in general, I don't dislike young people. So I don't
me
know if
neither.
people think I'm just an old curmudgeon. I
Well,
don't.
you got a son that's
I got a son
yes,
in that age bracket, right?
yes,
And I love him to death, and I
yes,
love all his friends to death.
yep,
But I think again, a couple of them are getting paid. If I won't even share these numbers here, but if the number I heard on one of them is anywhere near give or take 20 grand, it's big money.
I agree
So
with you
like one or two are
100%.
getting big money.
Mhm,
And okay, I understand. So thus, yeah, when you're getting paid that kind of money, you're very focused. And again, we don't know what the mission is, but you're very focused. But
mhm,
then there's I think, a big gap between, they're paying ballot chaser. I mean,
yeah,
knocking doors, and
right,
that's just kind of, your
right,
pizza money, right?
yeah,
Um, and then so again, it's like I've had people say, well, maybe that's the model. Turning Point's paying people. I'm like, yeah, but I think they're only paying one or two people big money, and
mhm,
everybody else is getting just a little bit of money. And eventually those 20, 21, 22, 23, they have to start earning a living. I assume they're going to start a family at some point.
mhm.
Then they have to pay a rent. And so that's when I've traditionally seen them pull out of the politics, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, they do.
So
My yeah,
when the king dog now who wants to take over, who's 23, 24, just out of college, when they if they're not one of those lucky ones at the top, what are they going to do? I mean, or are
mhm,
they not going to start a family? Are they going to continue to live in the basement? I don't know. My point of all that
yeah,
is that's not a sustainable model in a grassroots organization, because you're not going to have the people to do the job. Um,
right,
and if you pay people, and if you only pay captains,
mhm.
well, what happens to the rest of the troops when they go, well, you
It
do it. You're
starts
getting paid to do it.
a mutiny starts there soon, I can tell you. Well,
But
it's
I mean,
very
I don't think
interesting.
it's a good model. But I also think, too. I made a post on social media, that we meant to talk more about the eighth, but we're in a turning point. But I think they are connected. I think they are connected. But I think they are, they've kind of dialed down because there was that, the big hoopla was the amendment to the
Yeah.
RPW Constitution to forbid a 501c4. And then then they raised a ruckus on that, and RPW backed off. And
Do you think
then,
RPW is gonna back off? Do you think so?
yeah, yes,
You do?
yeah.
I'm very disappointed by that, and I
Maybe they come back, with it. I don't know. But,
yeah,
um,
'cause that
so
right
I mean,
there, that's terrorism. I mean, really, that
yeah,
is. It
my point of it is that I think Turning Point created a false argument. I mean, we I said we're not against young people getting
nope.
involved. We're not against all the hard work you do to get people elected. We think that's all great. Where we do have an issue is any 501c4 sitting on a executive board in our state party
Mhm.
that will inherently has conflict of interest. I mean, here's one easy conflict of interest. RPW has an app. Turning
Right,
Point has a walking app.
right,
So if
correct.
Turning Point dominates that board and they're deciding what app the state party is going to use, that's a conflict of
Yes, it
interest.
is. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Another beef I've heard from, oh, RPW doesn't raise enough money. Okay. So if Turning Point people are in charge and they're raising money, are they raising money for RPW? Are they raising money for Turning Point USA? And then their Turning Point USA is giving it to RPW. And there's
Mhm.
any 501c4 could have these issues, but it only seems to be Turning Point that then when you really narrow down, like, what's in a scenario, you're like, I can't think of First of all, I don't know of anybody like any over the 501c4 that's on there. I mean,
None of them
um,
have ever even I've never even heard a conversation about them being I mean, most of the time when you move into something like that, like, let's say, for instance, somebody who was involved in a local party, county party, then all of a sudden they took a job with one of those positions.
yeah,
All of a sudden, they're not on that county party anymore. They
yeah,
might come to some of the meetings as somebody representing AFP, or let's say whatever, I'm just using an AFP, but maybe they'll come to a county party meeting so they can talk to people about it or have a little booth or something like that. or come to a Lincoln Day or something like that and speak because they're asked to, but they don't try to come in and infiltrate and take over. And so I don't understand what the concept is either. And I don't know why it was. I hope RPW does not take that off the board. I was hoping that, this is how that's why we have rules. And we have, we can discuss it then at the convention and we can
Well,
talk
I
it
think
out.
too. I know a resolution that was passed at the seventh. No, it's only a resolution, and I
Yeah.
think it was passed in the third.
Real not
Um,
not yet because we haven't had our caucus.
oh, it will be
Our,
introduced in the third,
oh,
and I hope
great.
it will pass. But what it passed in the
Oh,
seventh was it was basically a conflict of interest that we, the seventh district, are asking RPW that the RPW executive committee, any member on there has to disclose potential conflicts of interest as they
mhm,
go into that board. And anytime, so the board needs to be fully aware of who is what.
mhm.
And so it needs to be disclosed up front. And then if there's a vote on something, they have to disclose that as well. So I keep using the app thing because it's easy. If something
Yeah,
were to come up with
right,
the app, if
right.
you are connected
Who,
with Turning Point, you would have to excuse yourself. Now, granted, there, then there's the whole, but you need to associate it with it because I think it comes to because there are some folks on that board that are associated with a 501(c)(4) other than Turning Point.
sure.
They may or may not make little money on it. I don't see a conflict in it, but they should at least have to address, hey, by the way, I'm
Yeah,
involved with XYZ.
but is
I don't
there's a political organization that would affect RPW? That's what I think is the problem with Turning
Well, that
Point.
goes back to our other question. Like, what is it that they do? What
I'm
is their mission? If they're,
ballot chase. I
their
don't know.
mission is
I
to
really
take
don't.
over RPW. Well,
Yeah,
okay.
right. Well, when I read that some of the paperwork and stuff, and then I also listening to those same videos that you've listened to, I don't know. I am very frustrated about it too. I wish that um we could figure it out. And I wish that I would have had somebody on this just to talk to him and say, hey,
Well,
come
and I
on.
think too, I don't know this. We could probably look this up. Like, yeah, I know the Koch brothers are big financiers of AFP, but like,
Yeah.
who's the Charlie Kirk equivalent at these other ones? And are they all making? What Kirk's like probably making close to $1 million a year. I mean,
Yeah,
they
I have no
raised.
idea.
Didn't they raise like $108 million? That's a lot of money for
Yeah.
Arizona, Wisconsin, whatever else. Where's all that money going?
Yeah. I know that they did go to Pennsylvania a lot too. I'm not really sure
Pennsylvania,
what
that's
happened.
the other one. My point
Yeah.
of bringing, I don't begrudge anybody for making a buck. I think
No,
that's
me neither.
great, but that's
Capitalism.
by bring it up because that's big, big money.
It is big
So,
money.
I mean,
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
it? So what's the end game again? I mean, because it appears like on the surface, like in addition to ballot chasing, they're into the entertainment business.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
into political entertainment. They have those big
Yeah.
rallies, people
Rallies. Yep.
saying Roseanne Barr saying crazy stuff up there and
Yeah,
stuff.
and they were throwing hats out to everybody, MAGA hats and stuff. It was amazing
Yeah,
because I mentioned something about that to RPW, and, I was told, "We don't have that kind of money," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right, we don't." And that's true, and we should be, good stewards with the money we do raise because it comes from our membership and things like that.
yeah.
So, it's just a really bizarro thing that's going on right now, and I'm not sure how we settle it, but I can tell you that I am not feeling steady right now. I'm feeling very uneasy.
I don't think it can be settled, girl.
I'm
That's
really
bad.
a little, yeah, it is. It's
Here,
sad.
I'll just say it. I don't think it can be settled. They're going to win, or lack of a better term, our side's going to win, or
Yeah.
we surrender. We could surrender, and
Yeah.
so far we've kind of surrendered
Yeah.
through lack of pushback. And I hate to say that. I wish there was a compromise, but I just don't
Yeah.
see how when they basically told. I hate even saying us because I'm not part of it, but they basically said we are out to get you. And
So
I
you
just think you got to take them at their word for it. I don't.
I totally, I mean, I heard that video and I showed people that video yesterday because they were stunned. Some people from St. Croix that are actually in the 7th and some people in Wausau, and they were just like stunned. They were like, "You've got to be kidding me." And I said, "No, I'm not kidding you. Not at all." So this is what I take it as. I take you for your word. You're saying you want to take over RPW. RPW has the grassroots already set. They've already got it in there.
Well,
It's already been.
imagine you're again. I'm not part of the eighth. I only hear the stories of the some
Oh,
of the craziness that goes on. But I mean, we have our crazies in the seventh, and
sure.
you know. I won't mention names, but you know crazies. I know some crazies, by
Mhm.
name and in
Sure.
person, and there really is no compromise with them.
No,
It,
there
it, it
isn't. No.
it's no
It's a
compromise at all because they are very black and white, and
yes,
they
I
believe that
agree.
their way is the right way 100%.
I agree.
And so there's no give there's no give and take. But I think before our time runs out too, getting back to the eighth, um, I thought Stephanie Susick, I know her a little bit, when I
Yeah,
see her at convention or stuff, I know her
sure.
enough to talk to, and just such a sweet lady,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
just a uh,
Hardworking, true
hardworking, and she's
conservative.
always trying to. And I used to always joke with Steph every time I see Stephanie. I say, Stephanie, you're too nice, and
Mhm.
she'll
Yeah.
say, well, maybe I get mean like you. I said, no, 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 I don't think that's the best way either
Mhm.
because I don't like being mean, but a combination of two might be the best, right?
Yeah,
To kind of balance it out.
sort of salty like me, John. I'm
Yeah,
salty.
you're
That's what
right.
I tell
The
people.
churl, you like combining the two, we get Cheryl LeBar. But I think I just looking from the outside in. I mean, I think she who is a good district chair. I think she
Yeah,
should have maintained it. I think she was the best thing for the state. She was the best thing for the eighth district,
she
and
was.
just what was being said online about her. It's like they were just kicking a puppy dog. I mean, because
Yeah,
I don't,
yeah.
I respect her a lot, but
Me too.
it's not her demeanor to push back on that, right? And
No.
maybe not pushing back was the best, but um, they didn't,
Yeah,
that like Kurt Johnson said in that thing on Meg Ellis and Econo didn't even get their delegates in on time.
really.
They they were pat, so those should have been disqualified. I know people say, "Oh,
Absolutely.
that's being ticky tacky in the rules." Well, anybody
We
that's been a
have
county
rules
chair
for a reason. We have
Anybody
rules
that's
for a
been a
reason.
county chair, that's pretty easy to get those in on time. I
Yes, it
mean,
is. It's
you,
very
you
easy.
know, and I was talking to my wife. I said, on that point alone, and I know people like, if you hold tight to that, oh, the establishment's doing this and that. But if I was a new chair and I didn't get, well, I don't think Sakura's a new chair either, so he should have
No,
known.
he's not. He is not.
But let's just say you were a new chair. If I was a new chair, I try to put myself in somebody's shoes. Like, what if that was me?
Right,
Okay, I
right.
walk into the seventh district and I'm here with whoever came with me from my county, and I'm like, we're here. And I go, John, you didn't get your delegates in on time. Nothing's recognized. I'd be like, oh man, is there anything you can do about it? And if they said, no, 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 rules are rules, I'd say, darn it, that's on me.
Yeah,
I'll never let
exactly.
that happen again.
Well,
Sorry to the people that came with me. We would
yeah,
observe from the rafters. We wouldn't
right.
be on the floor. And it was a lesson we learned. But,
That's because
they
you're a
just expect,
professional. You're a
right.
professional, John. That's why. They're not
And then the other
professional.
one, I can't remember what he was saying about. Then it was other, violations. So a lot of those delegates couldn't have been allowed in. But I think they had a purity test on those delegates. Brown, O'Connor. That
Yeah.
how are you going to vote? Like if you
Well,
aren't
I
going to vote
think
for Socorro, you're not coming.
right. Well, I also think that if you are, you file a lawsuit
Yeah,
against a
that's crazy.
civil suit. That's just absolutely the most asinine thing I've ever seen in my life against these naming Stephanie, naming RPW of the 8th district. I mean, what the heck is wrong with you? You really feel that that's going to get you somewhere and then that's going to make it where everybody else in the state wants to be friends with you?
Well, see,
Because
we
I
have
can,
to decide. See, that's a good point. We have to decide if we want to fight or we just want to surrender to get it over with, or we just want to let it slowly die away. Because if that's a great point. They come with this lawsuit.
I
Now, if we have, now I'm married to an attorney, so I may think differently.
yeah,
If somebody brings a lawsuit and we think we have a case, bring it. Let's go. We'll see
yeah,
you in court. Let's
yeah.
go.
That's how I am. Yeah, you're right.
But either we didn't have a case, so I'm misinformed,
Mhm.
or and maybe that's a possibility, or we get back to the challenges. Uh, we just because it's volunteers. No, who wants to?
Right,
That's not what
exactly.
people signed up for. I mean,
Yeah.
Brian
Well, and I
Schimmy's
think
the only guy that's getting paid, and even
I
that is
know,
peanuts
I
compared
know,
to what
I
he's
know.
doing running around the state. I mean, so
Yes, yes, that's true. Well, and the thing is, when they brought that case, when I looked at it, I was like, "What in the world are you thinking?" And then that was on Friday, and their caucus was on Saturday, so you knew it caused a bunch of burr, and I'm sure, there was probably people that didn't show up because they knew it was gonna be ugly. They just knew it
well,
was
I
gonna
think
be
that was
ugly.
probably intimidation too, naming Stephanie
Absolutely,
Cusick in it.
absolutely.
I don't know Stephanie's. Again, I'm married to a lawyer, so I'm more flippant like with my legal
Yeah,
fees. But
yeah,
I think I can see where that would be. That's intimidation,
it
Stephanie.
was.
My
Yeah.
gosh, what do you? I'm getting some. I'm named in a lawsuit. I'm
Oh, because
a
I'm a
volunteer position.
volunteer? Yeah, I'm a
Yeah,
volunteer, for God's sake. I put
yeah.
in how many
I mean,
hours a week volunteering, and you're gonna sue me for what? I mean,
so
that's
it's
what
really bizarre that, and so
more
again,
than bizarre.
I go every which way on it. Like, let's fight it to like, this is just insane.
It is.
I hate to
It
say this, but one way to correct is to let them just burn it to the ground.
Yeah,
And then you come back in and you rebuild it. But man, so much
yeah.
damage to be done in that interim
Way too
that,
much, and it's very scary, and I've seen it happen before. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom, I guess, and we come back from
true.
that. I don't
That
know,
is
but
true.
I know that, John, you and I pretty much feel the same way. That's why I reached out to you because I thought, well, we need to just put it out there. We're probably going to get attacked, and I don't really care. And I'm a little, like I said, salty. I don't, these, it doesn't bother me. I've already been attacked by many better people.
Well, and I don't know. I would say this on a constructive standpoint as we come to a closure here. I don't know the makeup of Brown County, Oconto County, and Wapaka County as far as their local county boards, town board. I don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
However, I suspect, I know that there are several, if not many, several counties in the state that on a statewide or presidential, statewide, so
Mhm.
presidential or anything, are very high Republican turnouts, yet their local boards are not being held by conservatives and or Republicans.
Right. School
And
boards and all. Yeah.
and that's, and inherently because I'm part of a small county, we don't really affect statewide stuff to begin with that much one way or the other.
Yeah.
Sawyer County is not going to be the reason why we win a statewide one. It's not going to be the reason we lose. What I'm getting at is we have we've over the past few years have focused more local, and to us
Yeah.
local means Sawyer County on up through,
Yep.
I'll say, state senate at the very highest.
Yeah.
And the hardest part of that local bucket is the county stuff, getting
Absolutely.
county board people to run, helping them, getting
Yep.
school board, getting town
Yep.
boards. That's the hard thing, and we have done very well, I think, in the last few years. We've seen that increase as far as when we,
Yeah.
that's one of the things we focused on at our Lincoln Day. I had everybody stand up one at a time.
Yeah.
Were involved in local seats somewhere.
We
And
did
it
that
was,
too. Yeah.
I almost wanted to, I say this to get the point across. Boy, my heart was just bursting with pride because until you
Yeah.
see it that way,
Yep.
you don't realize, wow, we have made an impact at the local basis. And why am I going through all that? Because unless those counties can say the same thing in the eighth, that's what they should be spending their time on,
I
not
totally
trying to
agree.
take over RPW.
And that's really what we're
And
doing too. We do it on a local level. We had at our Lincoln Day luncheon we had, and honest to goodness, it was very I felt the same way. I felt like, wow, I was shocked how many people stood up in that room that are running as candidates and that are already elected
yeah,
officials. We had them all stand up at the same time and they announced their name and what position they hold or what position they are
right.
running for. And I was amazed, and it was an eye-opening experience, and I think that's what it's about. That's what a local that's what your county party is supposed to be doing, focusing on that, then working your way up. And our
Yeah,
state reps
work your way up. That's where you
exactly.
start. And if your
That's what you do.
backyard's not in order, and now
Yeah.
maybe their backyard is in order. If it is,
I don't know. I don't. I
I
don't know.
congratulate them.
Yeah.
I still
Yeah.
say you don't need to be trying to take RPW, but um,
Yeah.
I don't even know if they even get involved in that. I mean, I don't. I mean, I know a lot of county parties don't, but I don't want to
Right.
speak for them. Maybe they are
Yeah.
doing it, but if they're not, that's what they need to be doing. And like you said,
Yeah.
that's where we all got to start, and then we work our way up. And if that's all accomplished, you got everything tied up
Yeah.
there, because we're pretty well set here
Yeah.
in Sawyer County as far as our assembly rep and state senate.
Yeah, we are too.
So
Yeah,
that
we're
gives us
good.
the time. Then we say, okay, where do we spend the time? Well,
Right.
then it's like, well, we need work to do at the local level, and that's what we've been
Yeah.
doing the last couple of years. So
Well, all I can say is, John, I appreciate being able to just talk to you about it because I do feel better after I do that. It makes me feel a little bit better. It is very frustrating. And I think there's a lot of us that are out there, and I hope hopefully they'll listen to this and maybe they'll feel a little bit better too. I hope we can work it out, whatever it may be, and it's going to work out however it's going to work out anyway. I just
right.
hope that RPW realizes how much they're really appreciated. They're appreciated very much by me and by many people that I know, and we know they work really hard, and you and I both know that, and we know Brian works hard. Leslie works her heart out.
Oh my gosh, Leslie's yeah. Well, Brian's great. Leslie just
Yeah, yeah.
what a resource. Yeah,
And
and
all these people that are on the board, I mean, we know Will Martin very well,
yep.
and I know a lot of the people. I mean, like my 3rd district chair, Hannah Teston, she's fabulous, and we have our election coming up, and she's running again, and Ryan Hipsch is running for vice chair, and that's good. And, I hope they do bring that resolution forward for us. I don't know who has it in the 3rd, but I sure hope somebody brings it because we didn't
Do you
think.
know Stephanie Brown of Pierce?
Ah,
She's
I
recently changed her name back to a maiden name, that's Irish name, but
Oh,
she's
okay,
the Pierce County
okay.
chair. I think
Uh
she's bringing it.
Okay, good. I hope so because we need something like that. We really do. And I think
Yeah, I think
if we start doing it like that, that's gonna help us out, even going further
well,
up,
because
as you know.
it bubbles up
Yeah.
from the bottom. I think that gives RPW courage then when they
Yes.
see it bubbling up from the
Yes.
bottom. So at the seventh, we already got it through. I'm confident that third will get it through. I think that's
Good.
it
Yeah.
because I
I
didn't
think
know
3rd will.
I didn't know anybody else in other districts that
Yeah. Yeah.
get it.
That's a shame. I wish that there were more. I think, Portage do oh, they might, because Portage is in the 3rd. They're in the 3rd. They'll be with us, so they'll support it too. So that's good. Well, John, I don't wanna take up any more of your time. We talked a little longer than I
Yeah,
thought we would. We always do.
yeah,
But I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah, yeah.
hey, this is gonna go out there, dude. I'm not cutting anything. I'm not editing anything. I think we did fine.
Well, I think we
Um
kept it clean, right? So that's good.
Yes, we did. I mean, I think I said a couple of bad words like "damn" or something, but not anything too
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
And, I appreciate your time very much, I really do, and, let's just keep fighting, we always fight the good fight, I feel that way, and I'm not even like I said, I'm gonna end it on something positive. I'm not against any one of these young kids, I really am not. I want them to be involved. Actually, I stay very close to some of them who text me constantly, call me. I had a call while we were talking, and it was one of the kids, that I know really well. He's
Yeah,
only
yeah,
19 years old, and,
yeah,
he lives over in the La Crosse area. I'm very close with these kids, and I want to keep that. But,
yeah,
they also understand, all the stuff that we've done, so they know that there's a bridge here. We can talk to each other, and I'll gladly talk to any one of them. I just don't wanna be disrespected by them, and
yeah,
that's what I've had so far, is that confrontational type of thing where they go right on the defense, and it's like,
yeah.
"Whoa, dude, back up a little bit. Let's talk about this, and I'll get you to understand why I'm saying what I'm saying." So, I wanna olive branch out to him. You come talk to me anytime, but just do it respectfully. That's all. And don't go behind my back and blah, 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 and send texts out because people like me. Unfortunately, guys, some people do. They might
Uh,
not tell you they do, but they do.
well, I think you're nice. I think I'm a nice person too. At the same
Me too,
time,
John.
we're nice until it's time not to be nice, and I would prefer to be
Yeah.
nice,
Me too.
really.
Absolutely. I
So
would. But I can tell you that if this comes to the floor at the convention, gloves are off. I'm going in. I'm going in, dude. I'm gonna go in like an old lady, and I'm gonna let them know. A salty old lady who served in the Navy. So, I thank you very, very much for your time. Tell Christine I said hi,
will
and
do,
that
Cheryl.
wonderful son of yours, Jack. I one of these days, I'll have a conversation with him again because
He's coming
he's
to convention. He's
is he?
coming to
Oh, good.
convention
I'm
with
so
me.
glad.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll bring my
Well,
stuff.
we're chasing, I think we're chasing the good old days,
Yeah,
because in years past he was, much younger. I say much
yeah,
younger, eh,
yeah.
19 or whatever it was.
Right.
And that was kind of fun, having him with me. So we're trying to chase that. Probably won't get it this next time around, but nonetheless, we'll be kind of hanging out. And I look at convention as seeing friends like you, and
Yeah, me too.
that's the first priority. Yeah.
That's exactly. Shirley and I are already going. We already, we're going. We got our plan. So I enjoy it very much. It's kind of like it's a little like I don't know, like a reunion,
It's like a
running it.
reunion. Yeah,
It
there's no
is.
doubt because there's
Yeah.
people, southern part of the state that I, communicate with via,
Me
you know,
too.
internet
Yeah.
and social media, but you maybe see them at convention. That's it.
Yeah, that's about it. Right. So you take care of yourself and stay warm up there.
Will
And
do. And
I'll talk to you soon.
thanks, Cheryl. Thanks for your time. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk to you soon.
Oh, I will. This will be out there soon. It's going to go up ASAP. All right.
Awesome.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Have a good
See you.
day.
You
Thank you
too.
for listening to the Cheryl and Shirley Show. We appreciate it very much, and I appreciate John's time. And let's open the dialogue. Let's start talking to each other. Let's talk about it, and let's get this information out because we all know actually that we have the mission. They have their mission, and let's end up getting. I don't know. I don't know if the battle comes force here? What happens? Or we clash, or we come together and we work it out? And that's really what I'm looking for, is some advice and some people that will come forward and that will talk about it openly and that will say, hey, this is what we stand for. Turning Point, as well as this whole 8th district thing that happened, this debacle. And my heart goes out to Stephanie. I wish her the very best, and I hope that she can move on. I mean, if she needs to talk to me, I will talk to her anytime. So thank you for listening to the Cheryl and Shirley show, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry that it went a little bit longer than normal, but there was a lot to talk about, and hopefully you'll pass it along. Thank you so much, and enjoy your day.